Nathan's shuttle broke through the thick purple clouds of Zytheria, and the view below made him catch his breath. Towering crystalline mountains stretched across the horizon, their surfaces glinting like giant mirrors. Rivers of glowing liquid wound between the peaks, casting strange reflections into the sky. Floating islands hovered above the surface, defying gravity as though the planet itself laughed at the laws of nature. Nathan adjusted his visor and checked his equipment. This was not just any mission. Humans had long dreamed of making contact with advanced alien civilizations, but most expeditions failed or never returned. Nathan's task was clear: negotiate a fragile alliance with the ruler of Zytheria, the alien queen Zerithia, whose empire spanned multiple star systems. The shuttle landed with a gentle hum on a smooth landing platform that seemed carved from crystal itself. The doors opened and a gust of wind carried the strange scent of ionized minerals. Nathan stepped out cautiously. His human-sized frame looked small against the towering architecture, but he held his head high. He was trained for this, though training could only prepare him so much for the unknown. A group of soldiers approached first. They were massive, at least twice Nathan's height, with shining armor that reflected the floating islands above. Each carried weapons Nathan had never seen before, long, slender energy rifles that pulsed with light and hums of power. One soldier in particular strode forward with an air of arrogance. His armor was black with silver trim, and his helmet bore a jagged crest that marked him as elite. "Another human," the soldier said, his voice echoing like metal scraping metal. "Do they send all their small weaklings?" Nathan swallowed but did not step back. He was here to negotiate, not to fight, at least not yet. "I come in peace," he said firmly, letting his calm tone carry across the tense space. The soldier laughed, a sound that rattled Nathan's chest. "Peace?" he sneered. "Humans think they can walk among the stars and bargain with queens? This will be fun." Other soldiers chuckled, and Nathan felt the weight of their eyes. He knew humans were seen as primitive here, creatures not even worthy of serious attention. But Nathan had spent years preparing for this moment. He had studied Zytherian culture, technology, and history, and more importantly, he had learned that strength alone did not win battles. Brains often did. As they escorted Nathan to the floating palace, he noticed something unusual. Small tremors ran through the ground beneath his feet, almost imperceptible but consistent. He frowned, quietly noting the fluctuations in his tablet. Most humans would not notice, but his training as an engineer made him sensitive to shifts in energy patterns. "Watch closely, human," the black-armored soldier said, his tone mocking. "You are about to meet the queen herself. Don't faint." Nathan's lips pressed into a line. He had read about Zerithia, stories of her strength, her wisdom, and her cruelty to those who failed her. He would not faint. He would not fail. The palace rose like a giant crystal spire, floating above a chasm filled with glowing mist. Bridges connected the different platforms, each hovering mid-air as if suspended by magic. Nathan took careful steps, observing the structures around him. The Zytherians were advanced beyond imagination, yet their technology had patterns, predictable, measurable patterns. Nathan made mental notes of each observation. As they entered the throne chamber, Nathan felt a cold draft brush against him. The room was vast, filled with floating lights that illuminated intricate carvings along the walls. The floor shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the figures in the room. And there, seated on a throne of luminous crystal, was Queen Zerithia. Her presence was overwhelming. She was taller than any human by far, with a regal posture that seemed to bend the very air around her. Her skin shimmered with faint iridescence, and her eyes glowed like twin moons. Nathan felt the instinctive pull to bow, but he held his posture steady. Krill, the black-armored soldier, stepped forward and bowed mockingly. "Your Majesty, we have brought a human. He claims he comes with peace." Zerithia's eyes narrowed slightly, scanning Nathan as though she could see into his mind. "A human," she said, her voice soft but commanding. "Interesting. I have heard stories, mostly exaggerations. Let us see if this one is any different." Nathan swallowed again but did not break eye contact. He stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I come as a representative of humanity. I wish to discuss cooperation and mutual benefit between our peoples." The Queen's gaze swept the room, and Nathan felt the weight of it pressed down on him. He had studied her image from reports and simulations, but seeing her in person was entirely different. She radiated intelligence and power in equal measure, and yet, She did not speak immediately. Instead, she gestured toward Krill. "Your soldier seems confident," Scifi said, her tone carrying a sharp edge. Krill straightened, puffing his chest out. "Confidence is earned through observation, Your Majesty. This human appears weak, and I assure you he will not surprise us." Nathan felt a flash of irritation, but he kept his voice calm. "Strength alone does not always define a being, soldier. Sometimes the mind proves stronger than muscle." Krill laughed again, louder this time, and several other soldiers joined in. The sound echoed off the crystal walls. Nathan felt a flush of heat in his face, but he forced himself to focus. Mockery was expected. He had prepared for this. Scifi raised a hand, silencing the laughter. "Enough," she said, her voice echoing with authority. "Human, you may speak. Show me why you are here beyond words. Actions often reveal more than speech." Nathan nodded subtly to himself. He had expected this. He had already been analyzing the palace's energy systems during his walk. He had noticed anomalies, small fluctuations in power flows, tremors in the floating structures, and instability that could pose a threat if left unchecked. No Zytherian would notice this immediately. Only a human, trained in observation and adaptation, could detect it in time. "I have observed some irregularities in the energy stabilizers of this palace," Nathan began. "If not corrected, they could cause structural failure in several hours. I believe I can assist in stabilizing the system, but I will need access to certain control nodes." Krill's laughter stopped abruptly. His brows knitted, a hint of doubt crossing his expression. He looked at the Queen, then back at Nathan. "A human? Suggesting he can manage the palace's energy core?" he asked, disbelief in his voice. "Do you see what I mean, Your Majesty? This one is either foolish or insane." Scifi's eyes narrowed, considering. She was silent for a moment, studying Nathan. Then she spoke. "Let him try. If he fails, he will only prove what I already know about humans. If he succeeds, we will see." Nathan's heart beat faster, but he kept his expression neutral. This was exactly what he had hoped for. The chance to act, to prove through deeds rather than words. Krill continued to watch him with a mixture of skepticism and fascination. "Follow me," Scifi commanded, turning her attention elsewhere. Nathan and the soldiers began to move toward the inner sections of the palace. Krill fell into step beside Nathan, still sneering, though less confidently than before. The corridors of the palace were a marvel. Energy flows ran along the walls like rivers of light, and doors opened as if sensing their approach. Nathan carefully observed each system, noting the weak points, the overcharged circuits, and the fluctuations in gravity that could destabilize the floating platforms. Every step was a careful calculation, every glance a silent assessment. Krill could not hide his curiosity. "How do you notice these things?" he asked quietly. No Zytherian would see them until it was too late. Nathan smiled faintly, replying without turning. "Observation and preparation, and sometimes you have to think differently than everyone else." Krill frowned but said nothing. The tension between mockery and respect began to build, though neither would admit it yet. Nathan's quiet confidence and attention to detail left a mark on the soldier, even if Krill did not fully realize it. As they approached the energy core chamber, Nathan prepared his tools. He checked his portable stabilizer device and reviewed the readings he had collected. The core pulsed with raw energy, and sparks danced along conduits that stretched across the chamber. Any mistake could be catastrophic. Krill stood at the entrance, folding his massive arms. "Do not touch anything you cannot control, human," he warned, trying to hide a twinge of concern. Nathan looked at him calmly. "I will not fail," he said simply. Sometimes the smallest beings can do what giants cannot. For a brief moment, Krill said nothing, and Nathan sensed that the soldier was beginning to understand that humans were far more than their size or weapons. The stage was set. Nathan was about to show that courage, intelligence, and determination could outshine brute strength, and Krill, the soldier who had laughed at him, would soon witness something he never expected: the true capability of a human. Nathan stepped into the heart of the palace, where the energy core throbbed like a living heartbeat. The room was vast, taller than the highest human skyscraper, with streams of glowing energy flowing along massive conduits that stretched into the ceiling. Each pulse of light made the chamber tremble ever so slightly. To a casual observer, it was beautiful. To Nathan, it was fragile, unstable, and dangerous if left unchecked. Krill followed close behind, his massive armor clanking against the floor with every step. He had stopped laughing, but there was still a hint of skepticism in his gaze. Nathan could feel it. He could also sense the soldiers' unease. Even the elite of Zytheria were not used to someone noticing what they did not. Nathan pulled out a small device from his pack, a compact stabilizer he had designed for this exact kind of situation. He connected it to a nearby conduit, and it hummed quietly, reading energy flows and mapping the unstable zones. Sparks jumped along the edges of the core, as if the palace itself was aware of his intrusion. Krill crossed his arms, stepping closer. "You think a human can control this?" he asked, disbelief sharpening his tone. "This energy could tear this entire structure apart. One mistake and—" "Then one mistake cannot happen," Nathan interrupted calmly, focusing on the readouts. "I have studied the system, I know the risks, but the palace is too rigid in its design. It cannot adapt quickly to fluctuations. That is why I must act." The room shifted slightly as an overhead platform trembled. Nathan glanced up and saw a floating bridge begin to sway. He made a quick calculation, adjusting his device to compensate for the shift. Krill's eyes widened. "How are you seeing that?" he muttered under his breath. Nathan did not reply. He had no time for explanations. Every second counted. The energy core pulsed faster, and a warning signal flashed across the chamber. The conduits began to overload, their light flickering dangerously. Nathan moved with precision, placing his device at strategic points. He adjusted energy valves and rerouted minor conduits to relieve pressure. Sparks flew, and a low hum filled the chamber. The palace seemed to shiver as if protesting his interference. Krill could not hide his astonishment any longer. You're actually doing it," he said, almost whispering. "A human in control of the energy core." Nathan glanced at him briefly. "I am not controlling it. I am helping it stabilize itself. Sometimes systems need guidance, not force." The two moved deeper into the chamber, where a massive bridge of energy led to the main stabilizer. It floated above a pit of swirling energy, bright and blinding. Nathan approached carefully, scanning for weak points. The floor was not solid. Any misstep could send him falling into the energy pit below. "Step carefully," Krill warned, his tone less mocking now and more concerned. "One wrong move, and—" "I know," Nathan said. "But if I do not do this, the entire palace could collapse. Thousands could die, including the queen and her court." Krill's eyes flickered with something Nathan did not expect: respect. The soldier had never seen a human act with such calm precision under pressure. The disbelief in his eyes was slowly being replaced by acknowledgement. Nathan reached the main stabilizer and began connecting his devices to its interface. The controls were alien in every way: glowing panels, pulsing orbs of energy, and floating holographic readouts. Nathan had only hours of training with simulations, yet his analytical mind processed patterns faster than the system could detect. A sudden surge of energy shot through the chamber, causing the floor to shake violently. Sparks flew, and some conduits cracked, sending arcs of light across the room. Nathan barely dodged one blast, adjusting his stabilizer in time to prevent a chain reaction. Krill stepped forward instinctively, ready to intervene, but Nathan waved him back. "I've got this," Nathan shouted over the noise, his voice steady. "If you interfere, it could make things worse." Krill hesitated, then stepped back, watching intently. Nathan's hands moved like a conductor, adjusting energy flows, rerouting unstable currents, and using small bursts of his stabilizer to compensate for the fluctuations. Sweat beaded on his forehead, but he did not falter. Minutes passed, each feeling like an eternity. The palace groaned and alarms blared, but Nathan continued to work. Krill's laughter from earlier was gone, replaced by a tense silence. He began to notice things no Zytherian soldier would usually see: the subtle tremors, the minor sparks that could indicate overload, the rhythm of the energy core itself. Nathan was not just surviving, he was mastering it. Finally, Nathan reached a critical point. a main junction that fed energy to the entire palace. The junction was unstable, and a miscalculation could send the floating platforms crashing. He paused, calculating, weighing risk against reward. Then with a steady hand, he adjusted the flow manually, redirecting excess energy to auxiliary conduits while keeping the core stable. The palace quaked violently. Krill braced himself, expecting disaster. Sparks flew, energy arcs danced dangerously close, and the floor trembled. But then, the humming of the core steadied. The tremors lessened, and the light from the conduits brightened evenly. The palace had stabilized. Krill could not speak. He stared at Nathan, his jaw tight, eyes wide. The soldier who had laughed moments ago was now frozen in disbelief. Queen Zarethia entered the chamber silently, her presence commanding immediate attention. She surveyed the stabilized core, then looked at Nathan. Her expression shifted from curiosity to astonishment. You have done what I thought impossible," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber. "A human, stabilizing the palace itself." Nathan bowed slightly. "I only helped the system. It responded to guidance, not force. That is all." Zarethia's gaze softened, though her posture remained regal and imposing. "Your actions are beyond what I expected from your kind. Few humans would dare, and even fewer would succeed." Krill swallowed hard. He had spent his life believing Zytherians were superior in every way. Yet here stood a human, achieving something that would have taken an elite Zytherian squad days, or failed entirely. Respect, grudging and silent, filled his heart. Nathan noticed the shift in the room. The tension eased slightly, and even some of the other soldiers began to study him with curiosity instead of derision. His heart still raced, but he allowed himself a faint smile. "Your Majesty," Nathan said, turning to Zarethia, "I recommend a full diagnostic of all stabilizers. The system is stable for now, but the palace's architecture is unique. Without careful monitoring, fluctuations could return." Zarethia nodded. "You are correct. And you, human, have proven your worth not with strength, but with intellect, courage, and careful judgment." Krill finally spoke, his voice low and almost reverent. I misjudged you," he admitted. "A human is more than I expected." Nathan shook his head slightly. "Do not underestimate any being based on size or weapons. Intelligence, courage, and determination often outweigh brute strength." The Queen studied Nathan for a long moment. "You have earned my attention, human. Not all who arrive here survive the palace itself, let alone stabilize it. Your actions will not be forgotten." Nathan's mind raced with the possibilities. This was more than survival. It was a chance to change perceptions. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, dismissed as weak and primitive. But now, in this palace, he had shown that they were capable of remarkable feats. Krill looked at Nathan once more, a quiet respect in his eyes. "I will remember this," he said simply. Nathan nodded. He knew the soldier's journey to understanding would take time. For now, the immediate danger was over, but new challenges awaited. The palace was vast, and the Queen's decisions would determine not only Nathan's fate, but the potential future of human-Zytherian relations. Zarethia spoke, breaking the silence. "Human, you have proven yourself. There is more to discuss, and I wish to know how your people think and act. But first, rest. You have earned it." Nathan allowed himself a moment to breathe, feeling the adrenaline ebb. The palace hummed softly around him, now stable, alive but not threatening. Krill stayed close, watching silently. No laughter now, only a thoughtful expression that hinted at lessons learned. For Nathan, the mission had just begun. He had survived, mockery, navigated danger, and accomplished the impossible. And yet, he knew the next steps would test him in ways even this challenge had not prepared him for. But Nathan was ready. He had human ingenuity, courage, and determination on his side, the tools that would help him face whatever came next. The palace hummed quietly, a soft rhythm of energy flowing evenly through its vast conduits. Nathan leaned against a railing in the observation gallery, catching his breath. For a moment, he allowed himself a brief sense of accomplishment. He had stabilized the core, prevented disaster, and earned the respect of soldiers who had mocked him mere hours before. Yet he knew the work was far from over. Queen Zarithia entered the gallery silently, her long, shimmering cloak trailing behind her like liquid light. Her eyes, glowing softly, studied Nathan as she approached. Nathan straightened, careful to maintain a respectful distance. He could feel the weight of her presence. It was a pressure that demanded focus and calm in anyone who stood before her. "You have done well," she said, her voice both commanding and melodic. Stabilizing the core was no small feat. Most Etherians would have failed, or worse, destroyed the palace in the attempt. Nathan bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only acted to guide the system. The palace itself is remarkable. It responds to precision, not force." Zarithia's eyes narrowed in thought. "You speak wisely for your kind. Many humans rely on brute force, yet you have demonstrated patience, calculation, and courage. I am intrigued." Before Nathan could respond, Krill stepped forward. His armor gleamed under the palace lights, but his expression was serious, almost humbled. "Your Majesty," he said, addressing Zarithia first, then glancing at Nathan, "I must admit, I misjudged this human. He has proven something I never imagined possible." Nathan offered a small nod of acknowledgement, careful to remain calm. "I only do what must be done," he said. "Sometimes small actions can prevent greater disasters." Krill stared at him, and for the first time Nathan saw genuine respect in the soldier's eyes. The laughter that had accompanied his initial mockery was gone, replaced by a recognition that strength alone did not define a warrior. Zarithia's gaze returned to Nathan, sharper now. "You have saved the palace, but there is more to learn. The stability you achieved is temporary unless the energy flows are monitored continuously. I want you to assist with long-term adjustments, not as a guest, but as a strategist." Nathan's heart skipped a beat. This was more than recognition. It was an offer to influence decisions at the highest level of Zytheria. "I am honored, Your Majesty," he said, keeping his voice steady. "I will do my best to maintain stability and prevent further risk." Zarithia's eyes softened slightly and she nodded. "Good, we will begin immediately. You will need access to the secondary control chambers and the auxiliary energy nodes. Krill will accompany you." Nathan glanced at Krill, who met his eyes and gave a slight nod. The acknowledgement was unspoken but clear. Krill would not interfere, but he would observe. Nathan appreciated the gesture. Soldiers like Krill had trained their entire lives in brute force, and for him to even consider learning from a human was remarkable. They moved deeper into the palace, where smaller chambers controlled various aspects of the floating structure. Nathan quickly assessed each system, noting weaknesses and devising adjustments that could prevent future instability. He worked efficiently, his mind moving faster than the Xetherians around him could comprehend. Krill followed silently, asking questions occasionally but never doubting Nathan's knowledge or skill. "How did you know that conduit would overload?" he asked, curiosity replacing skepticism. Nathan glanced at him briefly. "I observed the energy patterns and calculated where stress would accumulate. The system reacts predictably when observed carefully. Most Zytherians rely on intuition alone." Krill frowned, clearly thinking hard. Nathan smiled faintly. He could see the soldier's perception shifting, the transformation from mockery to genuine respect. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the chamber. A surge in the secondary energy nodes caused one platform to shake violently. Nathan's eyes widened slightly. He had anticipated some fluctuations, but this was unexpected. "Stand back," Nathan said, moving quickly to the control panel. Sparks flew from the node as he adjusted energy valves manually, diverting excess power to auxiliary circuits. The platform trembled dangerously, but Nathan maintained his focus, moving with precise calculation. Krill tensed, ready to act if Nathan faltered. "Careful!" he shouted, though it was more a warning than an order. Nathan ignored him, concentrating fully. He rerouted energy flows, adjusted stabilizers, and used his portable device to fine-tune the output. Sweat beaded on his forehead, but he did not falter. The platform's shaking lessened gradually and the node stabilized. The alarm ceased, replaced by the soft hum of energy flowing smoothly once again. Krill's jaw tightened and he muttered under his breath, Unbelievable. A human, controlling this without error. Nathan straightened, taking a brief moment to catch his breath. The key is observation and precise action. Predictable patterns respond to careful guidance. Force alone is rarely enough. Zarithia entered the chamber, her glowing eyes scanning the stabilized systems. Impressive, she said softly. You act with intelligence and courage. Your actions have prevented disaster twice today. I am intrigued by humans' potential. Perhaps we underestimated your kind? Nathan bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only wish to help, to prove that humans are capable of more than appearances suggest. The Queen's gaze softened. You have proven more than that. You have demonstrated wisdom, bravery, and ingenuity, qualities that are rare even among Cytherians. You have my attention, Nathan of Earth. For the first time, Nathan allowed himself a small smile. He had not only survived, but excelled in a world that had dismissed his kind. The human spirit, determined, adaptable, and clever, had shone through in the face of danger. Krill stepped forward finally, removing his helmet. His face was stern, but his eyes betrayed a newfound respect. I was wrong to mock you, he said quietly. You are remarkable. I will not forget this. Nathan nodded, acknowledging the sentiment without words. Krill's attitude reflected a larger truth. Humans were often underestimated, but courage and intelligence could change perceptions in an instant. The Queen moved closer, her presence commanding the room. Nathan, there is more work ahead, but your actions have earned you a place here. You will advise me on energy management and palace stability. If you continue as you have begun, humans may be seen as allies, not merely observers. Nathan's mind raced. He had come to negotiate, but his actions had opened doors he had never imagined. This was more than survival. It was an opportunity to influence history, to prove the worth of humanity in a galaxy that often dismissed them. Krill, observing quietly, could not hide the admiration in his eyes. Nathan had done what no Zytherian soldier could achieve alone. He had taken a fragile, unstable system and brought it to stability through intelligence, courage, and precise action. The laughter that had once filled the palace was gone, replaced by awe and respect. Nathan glanced around at the palace, the floating platforms, and the glowing energy streams. This was a world that had once seemed impossible to navigate. Now, through observation, analysis, and determination, he had mastered it, at least for now. Queen Zarithia studied him for a long moment. Humans are different than I imagined. You have shown that even the smallest beings can achieve greatness. Your actions have earned my respect, Nathan. Do not squander it. Nathan bowed once more. I will not, Your Majesty. I promise to serve with intelligence and courage, as you have seen today. The Queen inclined her head slightly. Good. Then we begin the next phase. There are other challenges ahead, and I want to see how far your determination can take you. Nathan felt a thrill of anticipation. Challenges were coming, but he was ready. Humans had a unique combination of creativity, adaptability, and courage, qualities that could not be measured by size or strength alone. He had proven it today, and he was prepared to prove it again. Krill watched him silently, the transformation complete. The soldier who had laughed at the human now regarded him with respect, a lesson in humility and understanding. Nathan had shown that courage, intelligence, and careful action could surpass brute force, a lesson that would not soon be forgotten in the palace of Zytheria. As the chamber hummed with energy, Nathan prepared for the next task, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. He had survived mockery, navigated danger, and mastered the impossible, and he knew, deep in his heart, that humanity's potential was greater than anyone had yet imagined. The palace of Zytheria had returned to a calm rhythm, the soft hum of energy flowing evenly throughout its crystal halls. Nathan stood on the observation balcony, gazing at the floating islands that drifted lazily above the glowing rivers below. The once terrifying palace now seemed alive, almost serene, as if acknowledging the human who had mastered its dangerous systems. Queen Zarithia approached silently, her cloak trailing behind her like liquid light. Nathan turned to face her, bowing slightly. Your Majesty, he said, the systems are stable. The palace should remain secure for some time, though continuous monitoring is still recommended. The Queen studied him, her glowing eyes reflecting both curiosity and admiration. You have done more than I expected, Nathan, she said softly. Most Zytherians would have struggled to achieve what you accomplished, and yet You did it with intelligence, patience, and courage. Nathan nodded humbly. I only followed logic and observation, Your Majesty. I wanted to prevent disaster and prove that humans can rise to challenges, even ones far greater than ourselves. Zarithia inclined her head. And you have proven it. Humans are often underestimated. Many believe your kind is small, weak, and simple, yet you have shown that courage and intelligence often outweigh size and strength. You have earned my respect and that of my court. Krill stepped forward, removing his helmet, the dark armor gleaming under the soft light. His expression was serious, thoughtful, and completely devoid of the mocking arrogance he had shown earlier. I misjudged you, Nathan, he said quietly. You have accomplished what no soldier could alone. Your actions speak louder than words, and you have my respect. Nathan gave a small, understanding smile. Thank you, Krill. I hope others will see that humans are capable of more than appearances suggest. The Queen gestured to a panel on the balcony. Holographic images of the palace's energy flows appeared in the air, glowing softly. Nathan approached, analyzing the readouts with ease. With these adjustments, he explained, the palace will remain stable. Energy will flow evenly, and potential weak points are reinforced. Continuous monitoring will prevent any surprises. Zarithia nodded. Very good. You have not only stabilized the palace but also helped us understand it better. You see patterns we might overlook because of tradition. That is a gift many Zetherians would never recognize. Nathan glanced at Krill, who stood silently, watching the exchange with a mixture of awe and humility. The soldier who had laughed at him hours ago now understood that humans were not inferior. They were capable of ingenuity, resilience, and remarkable courage. The Queen turned her attention fully to Nathan. I have seen many humans, but few demonstrate what you have. Your mind, your determination, your bravery, they set you apart. I wish to offer you a position as my personal advisor for palace operations, not as a guest but as a respected strategist. You will guide our energy systems, monitor stability, and offer solutions to challenges we cannot foresee. Nathan's heart raced. This was more than he had hoped for. I am honored, Your Majesty. I will serve to the best of my ability, he replied, keeping his voice steady. Zarithia's gaze softened slightly. Good. Your actions today have changed how I see humans. You are not weak. You are capable of great things. And I believe others will see this as well. Krill spoke again, his tone quiet but sincere. I have trained my entire life to solve problems through strength and skill. I never thought a human could achieve what you have. I will not forget this lesson. Nathan nodded. Strength is valuable, but observation, creativity, and determination can achieve results that brute force cannot. Humans have learned to survive in many environments by adapting, thinking differently, and taking risks. That is what allowed me to help today. The Queen studied him, her expression thoughtful. You have proven that courage and intelligence can rival power and size. Your actions today will be remembered in Zetherian history, and perhaps it will inspire a new respect between our peoples. Nathan felt a quiet pride. He had come to Zetheria as a representative, seeking peace and understanding. Instead, he had shown that humans could meet the impossible, and in doing so, had earned respect that few had ever received in this alien world. Krill stepped closer, lowering his gaze slightly. If you ever face danger in the future, know that you have allies here. I will not mock or underestimate you again. Nathan gave a small nod. That is appreciated, Krill. I hope others will learn from today as well. Respect should be earned by deeds, not assumed by appearances. Zarithia spoke again, her voice carrying authority. Nathan, you have proven today that humans are capable of extraordinary feats. You have stabilized the palace, prevented catastrophe, and gained the respect of my soldiers. Your courage has spoken louder than the laughter of those who doubted you. Nathan glanced around the balcony at the floating islands, the glowing rivers, and the immense palace structures. Your Majesty, this palace is magnificent. It is a testament to your people's vision and ingenuity. I am glad I could contribute, even in a small way. The Queen smiled faintly, a rare expression of warmth. Your contribution is not small, Nathan. It is remarkable. You have demonstrated that even a single human, with intelligence and courage, can achieve what others would fail to do together. That is why I offer you this role, not just for today, but for the future. Krill finally spoke with a hint of humor, breaking the tension. I suppose I should apologize for laughing at you earlier. You've proven that humans are unpredictable. In a good way. Nathan chuckled softly. It is all right, Krill. You were only acting as your instincts guided you. Today, we both learned something new. The Queen turned to Nathan once more. You have shown that humility, courage, and cleverness are qualities worth valuing. You are not only a human, Nathan, but also an example of what your kind can achieve. Let this day be remembered as the moment when one human proved the worth of an entire species. Nathan felt a surge of pride, but remained humble. I am honored, Your Majesty. I hope my actions inspire more humans to explore, learn, and show that we are capable of greatness, even in the most unexpected places. Krill nodded silently. He had been taught to measure strength in combat and skill, but today he had witnessed something different. Nathan had shown that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could surpass brute force. That was a lesson Krill would carry with him forever. Zarethia studied Nathan one last time. You have done more than stabilize a palace. You have changed perceptions, built respect, and shown that humans are capable of greatness. I am pleased to call you an ally, and I hope your wisdom will guide us in the days to come. Nathan bowed once more. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best to serve and continue learning from your people as well. As the Queen turned and left the balcony, Nathan looked at Krill. The soldier gave him a nod of silent acknowledgement. Nathan knew that the respect he had earned was real. It was not given lightly. It was proven through action, courage, and intelligence. For the first time on Zytheria, humans were no longer seen as insignificant visitors. Nathan had shown what one human could achieve when faced with impossible challenges. The palace, once trembling and unstable, now stood secure. The soldiers, once mocking, now looked on with admiration. And Queen Zarethia herself had recognized the value of humanity in ways few other worlds had. Nathan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the day's events. He had come as a representative, underestimated and dismissed. He had faced danger, defied expectations, and achieved what no one thought possible. And in doing so, he had proven that courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome mockery and doubt. As the sun set over the glowing rivers and floating islands of Zytheria, Nathan knew that this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more obstacles, and more opportunities to show what humans were truly capable of. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet pride, standing tall beside Krill and looking out over a world that had once laughed at him, but now respected him deeply. In that moment, Nathan understood something essential. Respect is earned not by size, weapons, or authority, but by actions, courage, and the willingness to face the impossible. And humans, as he had just proven, were capable of greatness that even the strongest alien soldiers could not ignore. The palace hummed around him, alive and stable, a testament to the unlikely triumph of one human's courage and intelligence. Nathan had done the impossible. He had turned mockery into respect, doubt into admiration, and a fragile situation into a story of triumph that would be remembered for generations. And somewhere in the quiet corridors of the palace, Krill finally allowed himself a small, genuine smile, knowing that the human had changed everything.